What's up, party people? November 17th, Sunday, 2024, day after the Georgia game, Georgia, Tennessee. I'm in my bathroom still talking to you. I'm gonna walk out of my bathroom now, hoping this is working. I'm doing a little walk and talk for this week's pod, week 11 of the Legion Zoom. Can't really see. There's a hill behind me, kind of. I'm gonna try to walk to the top of as I record this. See if I can get a better shot of it. Oh, there it is, above my head. Let's walk there. So week 11 of the NFL season. Seahawks facing the 49ers today on the road. Last night, UGA with a mega win over the University of Tennessee at home, Sanford Stadium, Athens, Georgia, best football environment in the nation. It's so funny, dude, watching. I was flipping back and forth between Oregon, Wisconsin, Oregon #1 on the ropes last night, in Madison, Wisconsin. I've always heard Madison's like this epic college town. Seems like it's always rivaling Athens, Georgia for best college town environment, whatever. Dude, at least from a football standpoint, holy fuck. I mean, #1 Oregon on the road at Wisconsin. They've got them on the ropes in the fourth quarter, and the environment seems like it's like a high school game compared to UGA. Meanwhile, you flip over to Sanford Stadium, #12 Georgia, #7 Tennessee. High ball game. Second half, I mean, the place is fucking electric. It's like a different planet compared to these other college environments. Quite frankly, I'm not that into football. It's like dedicated all so much time and energy discussing football on the podcast last several weeks, but it's not my number one passion by any means, but it is something I'm passionate about, and it's something that's more reflective of my childhood passions, and this kind of childhood joy and passion is something I want to continue to cultivate, which is why such adherence to this Legion of Zoom and really celebrating our Lord and Savior, head coach Mike McDonald, the Seattle Seahawks. Just cool, man. It makes you feel like a little kid. And dude, being a little kid's way fun than being an adult. I think the secret sauce is having the capacities, capabilities, and resources of an adult, and maintaining a kid-like lifestyle as much as possible. I got my Crocs on, by the way, for this long walk. That was a mistake. And then if you can also add actual kids to your adult existence, that's even more fun, which is kind of what I'm doing right now as a nanny. I feel like I live the life of a little kid. I spend all my time every day training martial arts. I'm trying to become the best ninja I can. That's my primary focus. My second, my other primary focus is just making these two little girls I'm raising, a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, the best humans they can be. So it's dope, man. Just, I don't know. It's like I would get to live in kid world, but as an adult, I like it. Which is why so much football talk and eventually MMA talk, which I catch back up on UFC. I'm about a month behind the UFC last night. John Jones, Stipe Miocic. How you doing? For the UFC Heavyweight Championship of the world. A mega fight that normally I'll be all over, all about, all invested in, all researched, but following football pretty closely with fantasy and doing this podcast with the fellas, Seahawks, the Dogs, and the college football playoffs. So, yeah, a little behind on MMA. But Dogs did a W last night. College football rankings. This past Tuesday, the committee had them ranked #12. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. Get out of this bullshit. The Dogs had the toughest schedule by far this season. I mean, it's not even close. Playing an NFL caliber schedule, and then you got teams like fucking Oregon, BYU, and Penn State who have played fucking a high school schedule, and they're ranked ahead. But Dogs get the W last night. The Dogs will be in the playoffs, and the Dogs will be in the national championship. Something different about them Dogs. Something different about people from the South in general. I mean, just to say that SEC football is a higher caliber of Big Ten football. What up, Yanni? Sorry, I'm strolling through the neighborhood, and LA is typically not a very friendly place, smiley, good morning type place, but nearly 5 years in here, I've cultivated, talking about Southern, a little bit of that Southern charm here in the neighborhood. neighbors to honk and wave and say good morning to each other here in the streets of Highland Park. Also Southern. It's not just Southern football, man. It's just people from the South in general, I'm learning, are just tougher. They're certainly better athletes. They're nicer. They're more rugged in general. Like, obviously, people from all over the places can embody any of these qualities, but just generally speaking, I find people from the South to be tougher, more athletic, more rugged, and friendlier, more resilient. And so it's cool to bring that kind of ethos and capacity out here to the West Coast, where there's a lot of people soft like Jello. What's benefiting me, man, I mean, I think the last time I did a walk and talk, I was in Stockton for a jiu-jitsu tournament. And some of these dudes just melt, man. Even dudes that do competitions, which is like supposedly higher level martial artists. A lot of these dudes just melt. Man, it's not even like I'm that skilled of a jiu-jitsu practitioner. They melt under. You can just feel people break. That like they recognize that you're not gonna break, even though their skill set and technicality may be higher than yours. They break, dude. They break under the awareness that you're not gonna break, and that's probably the most cool, special experience I've had as like an athlete. Is that feeling? And it's not. The best part is like it's not antagonistic. It's not like I don't have animosity towards any of my opponents. We're all the same. We're all one human. It's just, I believe we're, how you doing? I believe, like, we are, branches of the same tree, essentially, right? Manifestations of the same, like, kind of pulsating human oneness. But we are separate branches, right? And so it's cool to, like, show yourself in the physical form of someone else that truth, that like two forces met together. There's something colliding together. It's like there's something deeper, metaphysical that exists within all of us that is super physical, right? It's like this power or source within us that allows us to elevate our physical capacities beyond what like traditional science or physiology tells us. I'm sober, by the way. Now I'm about to fire up a J-ski, but I know it's a very kind of heady out there psychedelic type of thought. But anyway, this is Legion of Zoom. Back to Mike, celebrating Mike. Thank you, Coach Mike. Last week, a couple weeks ago. Anyway, I'm being successful in this martial artist journey. It's truly given me a feeling of purpose and fulfillment in my day-to-day existence. And the pursuit of competition and betterment, it's within me, but generally, I take lessons and inspiration from our Lord and Savior, Head Coach Mike McDonald, on a daily basis with regard to all this shit. So yeah, last night we recorded a Legion Zoom episode. A bunch of the fellas were in somewhere in Georgia, some lake, I believe, in Georgia. It's interesting, man. The Legion of Zoom is mostly dudes, or initially it was dudes. Like, really, I think the core of Legion of Zoom are my buddies Hunter and Lenny, because we knew Mike like pre-puberty when we were just little kids, right? Like glorified babies. And that is just such a special thing to think that we're all this, because now, like, I've worked with kids my whole adult life and professional life, and to see a glorified baby grow up to be this powerful adult figure, so badass to me. It's so inspiring. But then, a bunch of us ended up in high school together at Centennial High School in Roswell, Georgia. Then from there, a bunch of us just continued the journey to the University of Georgia and college together. So the Legion of Zoom keeps expanding from people, Mike's buddies, throughout that time period. And then now I keep adding people to the text group who have never met this fucker before in their life. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I just want to continue to celebrate something that I find fun and inspiring and super fucking cool. Just like this constant reminder, like, yo, I don't know. A reminder, like, we're all the same, man. Like Jeff Bezos to fucking some 4-year-old dying of hunger in Namibia. Like, we're all the same. And it's like there's beauty and there's sadness and what the potential outcomes of your individual experience here on earth could be. But like, you are also Donald Trump and you are fucking some jihadist in Syria, right? We're all that guy, and we have this like free will, and as I was kind of referring to earlier, this like metaphysical soul, I guess, that allows us to like fully determine, like we're all born with this access to these same like meat suits, right? But there's something intangible and non-physical that determines the full range of our human experience. And it's like free will, it's decision. A lot of people would say there's no free will, or everything is kind of predetermined almost by genetics and circumstance. But I don't believe that. I think there is something individual inside all of us that allows us to determine our life course. Now, obviously, if you're born into like the lap of luxury of some hedge fund manager in Manhattan, as opposed to being born in like, I don't know, a gutter in Mumbai, there's really are circumstances there that are going to limit and determine your outcomes. But both those people come from the same stardust, from the same original source, and it is not defined the path of either of those people's outcomes. Obviously, there are restrictions and probabilities, but it is undefined. Like, I used to date a girl that had a tattoo on her body that said, "Tomorrow never knows." And it sounds so simple. Obviously, of course, tomorrow never knows. But I found that's terrifying and inspiring at the same time, man. It's like, yeah, that's true, dude. Nobody knows what's going to happen 1 second from now. Donald Trump doesn't know. I don't know. Jeff Bezos doesn't know. Our Lord and Savior head coach Mike McDonald doesn't know. Like, we're all here subject to the same unpredictability and variability of existence. And that's kind of a beautiful notion, I think. So yeah, I'm gonna stop by, about to head up real quick. There's that hill that was once in my backyard. I'm about to head up, but I'm gonna stop by this porta potty. Actually, no, I was about to take a piss in this porta potty and then hotbox it, but I'll see if I can run a piss and not hotbox. Hey, just in case a kid or something uses it next time. But I do want to fire up this J ski. My thoughts are already flowing. So yeah, it's something you say when anything else to say. Back to Seahawks real quick. Crazy fucking week for the Seahawks. It's week 11. Week 10 was a bye week for the Seahawks, led by our head coach and Lord and Savior Mike McDonald. Crazy, a little bit of a bye week for the boys. Over here behind this fucking. Oh, here we go. This might be better. So with the hot box. Locked. Crazy bye week for Mike and the boys. First day. I said the alarms last night. So I'm gonna take a piss. Not the only ones this morning way back here. Got poop too, but that'll be kind of weird to do. During the bye week, Mike is a linebacker. That is the core of his football existence. He sees the game through the eyes of a linebacker. And obviously he was brought on. Like this is a new game for him, right? So the roster, the talent on this roster, the individuals on this roster, he didn't necessarily pick these ingredients to make the meal, as Bill Parcells once said. A lot of these ingredients were already there before he took hold, or before he took the helm. Granted, he did bring in players in the offseason In particular, who I'm referring to is Jerome Baker and Tyrell Dodson, T-Dot, both of whom were either, well, Jerome Baker got traded to the Tennessee Titans. He was an outside linebacker. He got traded for Ernest Jones. He's much more of a thumper, traditional type Mike linebacker. And Mike prefers these traditional type Mike thumping, run-stopping linebackers. Might be hard to rip this Jay's King climb this big-ass hill. Well, I'll do my best. So trade Jerome Baker for Ernest Jones. Ernest Jones steps in the first couple games and kills it, man. He leads the team in tackles, I believe, both games. It's funny, though, because he kept saying in the interviews I listened to with him, coming to Seahawks, he's like, yeah, my boy, Tyrell Dodson, T-Dot, he's kind of showing me the ropes. That's my boy. And then, like, next week they trade T-Dot as well. So T-Dot's out. Actually, they didn't trade T-Dot. Apparently, he wasn't performing. They asked him to take a seat on the bench in favor of rookie Tyrese Knight, who very talented rookie linebacker out of UTEP, University of Texas El Paso. They didn't give him the starting nod. Tyrell Dodson didn't agree to the benching, from what I understand, so they waived him, and he was soon picked up by the Dolphins. So, linebacking core of the last couple weeks completely flipped. And another big name at the Hawks brought in the offseason, Connor Williams, former Pro Bowl center, high respected offensive lineman. Brought him in on a 1-year deal coming off an ACL tear. This motherfucker retires during the bye week for personal reasons. Don't want to speculate, I don't know. But needless to say, good amount of turnover, good amount of turmoil during the bye week for the Hawks. And Mike, I trust. The haters might say things are going a little awry. The lovers like myself, the believers, know that it's all part of the master plan, kind of. I didn't plan this, but I trust Mike. I believe he's the GOAT. I know who won Super Bowl. And I believe he has the capability of being the greatest head coach in NFL history. And as Mike loyalists here on this podcast, we'll follow him every step of the way. I'm not sure if we'll be running back Legion Zoom next season. We shall see. I definitely want to get into more MMA coverage. And then, eventually, what I really want to get into, fellas, boys and girls, non-binary folks, is I want to start studying the history of time, of existence. Sometime over the next couple of years, and certainly once I'm done with these girls out here, I just want to start studying from the Big Bang onward, all of the theories of existence, of how all this came into being, all this existence came into being, whether it was the Big Bang, fucking Genesis, God made the earth in, 8 days or something. Kind of talk to people about all the different theories about where this shit came from. I think Big Bang is the most accepted mainstream theory. And then just go from there. From point zero, the head of a pin, hyper-concentrated energy or whatever, godness, explodes and creates infinity. Allegedly. So we'll start there and then start studying. I have this calendar on my wall called the Cosmic Calendar, right? So it condenses and visualizes all of time into 12 months, right? And so the vast majority of these 12 months, I believe it's January through November, to continue the metaphor, occurs in the first 11 months, right? So human beings don't, I don't think, come onto the scene until I think it's like the last minute of the last day. It's like New Year's Eve. So us human beings have been around for like a minute of a whole year of time. It's incredible. Allegedly. I don't know. I want to get into this stuff and truly get my teeth into it and understand that more thoroughly. Here we're at the top of the hill. And just study that. Obviously, a big portion of that does not involve human beings, right? There's no human history for the vast majority of the history of everything. But the most interesting parts, I'm on top of this hill. This is called, I forget what this hill's called, but it's right behind our house. It sits behind Occidental College. So that's liberal arts college here in Highland Park. Behind me you can see Los Angeles National Forest. I don't know if you can see, but snow in the mountains back there, which is a cool part about LA, man. I don't know if you can see that or not. Anyway, I always start on my mountains and we get snow, dude, so like you can be in the beach, which is that way behind me, and go surfing. And then directly behind me, the opposite direction, are snow-capped mountains. Go snowboarding or whatever. So it's pretty badass. I love going up here. Got the window over there. The beach that way. Hollywood. Downtown LA behind me. And then of course out east towards Joshua Tree, Nevada, where you kind of see the mountains behind me. Head down this hill because there's going to be people coming up as well. I don't want to disturb them. Although people talking to their cell phones and doing weird fucking influencer shit, narcissistic shit like this. It's commonplace in LA, so it's not that weird. So yeah, I want to start studying that, studying the history of time, studying like how stars are formed, how planets are formed, like what is going on in space essentially, like during the first gagillion years of existence. And then of course I'm spending the majority of my time studying human history, right? The history of Earth. You know, then specifically study like how is Earth formed, or early what is the story of early life on Earth, like single cell organisms. More scientific shit. It's gonna be kind of boring, I would imagine. How you doing? And then from there, the interesting shit will be studying human history and what I would ideally like to do. I'm not sure exactly what form this will take. If it takes the form of like another vagabond trip, or if it takes the form of probably more sustainably, oh shit, especially I want to have a family at some point, like setting up a home base somewhere in the US and then, or anywhere, and like doing trips out for a month or 2 months at a time. I'd like to study the history, not only of planet Earth and life on Earth, but obviously the most interesting is the history of humanity. So then starting, for instance, for example, like in the Congo, or maybe starting in like the Gulf of Mexico, where they think, isn't that where they think the asteroid hit that eradicated the dinosaurs? Like starting there, like here we are, the beginning of it all. Or starting in the Congo, or then going like the Congo, where early humans first evolved from lower primates. And then just studying the history of development from lower primates into early humans, and then kind of following the migrations of humans out of Africa and around the world, right? And it's not one path, right? Some went the left towards Europe, some went the right towards Asia. Kind of digging in, going to those places, talking to historians, talking to like ancestors of those peoples, and just tracking and studying and kind of truly experiencing the full human history here on this planet. That to me is the dream of what I want to do before I die. And I don't think it's that like outrageous of a goal. People, I think they do far more lofty things than that. So yeah, ultimately I think that's what I want this podcast to be, is a study of human history, of time, of the human experience. And then once I study that full history, then, let's just say that takes 10 years. So it takes me about to like mid-40s, about my 50th birthday. Traveling around the world doing that shit. Not exactly the most lifestyle that allows for effective childbearing. But after I studied human history, gather this knowledge, I feel ready to make humans of my own, right? Yeah, so I've studied human history, studied my own history, which is what I kind of done with the first couple years of this podcast. Now I'm creating my own human, and they get to determine their own history, and then I think I'll start thinking more politically about running for political office. Once I've fulfilled like these personal ambitions, these personal discovery projects, and then created my own human and own family, then I would like to start having a broader impact on society. And I think who knows, man? Like, who knows where the world will be at that place, at that time. I think perhaps the most effective way to have a broader impact on society is shit like this, like communication. So I believe so strongly in open speech, free speech, even if people find it offensive or whatever, because this technology, the ability for all of us to communicate with everyone, every individual, in theory, can communicate with every other individual on the planet. That is like, I kind of believe, a human right at this point, and it can't be, I don't believe it should be censored or stopped or modified or edited. Everyone has a voice, they should be able to use it. I think everyone's voice, it's tricky, right? But everyone should kind of have the same access to the same levels of amplification of their voice, I feel like, because otherwise literal history and the direction of that we're going can be altered or changed or modified or customized in a certain direction if you start changing, if you start censoring what we know about ourselves, what we know about existence, and we all start adopting like singular narratives. That's not truthful. That's not real. That's not genuine. That's fake. That's artificial. That's it's robotic, right? It's like, it seems like we're kind of going, we have this pure core humanity of who we are, and hopefully we'll always be. But it also seems like we're kind of almost this kind of side evolution of humanity into regulation, restriction, censorship, artificial intelligence, this kind of like this kind of a 1984-ish dystopian evolution, right? It's kind of like we got this Wild West path where where the individual is the most important thing, and there's like this alternative, more communist path where like collectivism, stability, safety, profit, maintenance of the status quo is the priority. Like the organization is a priority. And that path seems more to me to lead to the eventual, I think, kind of the eventual extinction of what is human, and kind of the extinction of what I was referring to earlier in this talk as like that, like your soul, essentially, like that thing that exists with all of us that is unique and special, and that when you do pit a 6'4", 220-pound man against another 6'4", 220-pound man, where on paper everything seems equal, one of them will prevail because of something inside of them that cannot be weighed, measured, or defined scientifically. That is, I think, love, or the soul, and I think it's real. And it may be infinite and indestructible, but it may not be. But I believe in that force. Let me take another piss. Just came down the hill. Sorry, back to the crib. I'm taking another piss. I pee so much, man. Drink so much water and caffeine. I also smoke a ton of weed. So maybe my body's like detoxing THC. I never know. So yeah, man. I don't know. I believe in the power of the individual and the right of every individual to be their truest self without restriction. Yeah, man. At the end of the day, as long as you're not hurting anyone else, you can say whatever the fuck you want. So if you put this here and piss. So yeah, this Legion of Zoom, all this football talk. Like I've said in the past, it's reps for me. Just get my voice out there, get used to just rambling, get used to looking like an idiot, used to saying stupid shit, used to being high and having I love smoking weed, so I know a lot of these times I'm broadcasting myself, I'm not broadcasting my most coherent and, I don't know, eloquent self, but also spend a lot of time high. So it's an accurate reflection of my reality, and reality exists, and in general is much more important to me than projecting the best version of myself. It really is. I think truth and realness, authenticity is like, man, paramount above all else. Even above like greatness or success or achievement. Kind of weird thoughts or concepts, but I think I'm making a little bit of sense. So yeah, definitely gonna finish out with Legion of Zoom for the rest of the NFL season. Could be a lot of these things. What I do with the Legion of Zoom pod is I have a chat group like of dudes that I mentioned, Hunter and Lenny, and then Griff and Mayo and Buzz and Gons and all these dudes. I went to college, elementary school, middle school, high school, college, and then I keep adding people who have never met head coach Mike McDonald or even watched football. Just people that I love and quite frankly that I would like to talk to more. And so I'm starting to try to use this Legion of Zoom shit as like a vehicle to just like maintain my own shit. So what I do is this increasingly growing text group of my friends, I just send out a link once a week. I could do a much better job of preparing people for it, but usually I send out a link like 5 minutes before, like, hey, I'm going to be on Zoom for the next hour. Hop on if you want to talk. And most of the time no one does. Actually, most of the time at least one person does. But now I'm getting consistency, right? I haven't got to making it consistent. But it's not about that. Once again, it's about a general reflection of reality. Reality is I'm shitty at fucking scheduling stuff and like digital communication. And so these, like last night, Griff, all the boys had a bros weekend out of this lake in Georgia, and I didn't make it. And the Tennessee Georgia game was about to start. And excuse me, and Griff just FaceTimed me. He started chit-chatting on FaceTime for a little bit, and I was like, fuck, I need to get a podcast out. You mind if I record this? So we started doing that. But not everyone is comfortable being intoxicated and speaking up freely. Here to see, so they ended it. Also because there's a bunch of dudes in that house that could eventually say or do something on video, and they're kind of being recorded against their will in a way. It's like 2 know they're on camera and 10 that don't. So yeah, we'll keep doing Legion of Zoom for the rest of the football season, both show. I still want to do some individual interviews, and I'll still do individual interviews. Quite frankly, are a little more meaningful and profound. With interesting, powerful people that I love, that I meet throughout my existence. But then, as I said, over the course of the next year, 2, 3, 4, 5, certainly 10, the podcast will start to take much more of a coherent, curricular, well-defined, more well-defined path and theme than it has up to this point. I'm trying to think what else is cracking. Me personally, I think I mentioned in the past, but as far as this podcast I want to get done or keep doing consistent on a weekly basis, obviously my only 2 friends here in LA, Georgia and Emily, 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. I want to spend as much time with them as I can while I'm here and see them grow and enjoy their company and kind of bathe in the love we have for one another. And then martial arts, man. Just getting as good as I can at jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai and keep doing jiu-jitsu tournaments consistently. I want to do 1 a quarter for the next several years. And then potentially take an MMA fight at some point, a cage fight. The only obstacle to that, I feel ready. Like, honestly, if I had a cage fight tomorrow, I'd feel fine as long as it was against, like, someone who also has never had a cage fight. If I just went against another dude in his 30s who'd been training jiu-jitsu for a couple years and Muay Thai for a year, but had never put it all together in a cage, which is where I am right now, I would have no problem stepping in there right now or tomorrow to engage in that sort of high-level conflict and danger. I'm certainly not scared about it. And I think I would be successful. My only issue with actually setting the goal and doing it is it's the striking training. It's the Muay Thai training, it's the kickboxing. It's the cumulative low-level brain damage you would take over the course of weeks, months, and years in preparation for those fights. Obviously, you step in a cage anytime, you get head kicked, knocked out, and suffer a fucking traumatic brain injury. But, not to sound fucking arrogant, but once again, if we're someone with my similar skill and experience level, I don't think I'm getting head kicked, knocked out. I don't think I'm getting knocked out, period. You never know, but I like my chances of not suffering significant brain damage in that singular contest. Now, the question is, in preparation for the contest, in sparring and all that shit, how much brain damage do you take? Do you get knocked out in sparring on accident? Some overzealous dick? So that's my only concern. I like martial arts. I've played every sport and done every type of exercise and fitness. I've worked in that realm professionally my whole life. Sounds super douchey, but been an athlete. And this is the coolest shit, man. This is the coolest shit. Martial arts to me is the coolest shit. It's just you, man. It's just you. And it's real. And it's powerful. And it's a skill set that, matters in life, right? It's not like you got super good at dribbling a ball or, throwing an inflated piece of leather through a circle or something. Not to disparage any of the sports. I fucking love sports. And I played them my whole life. And I still follow them, obviously. But, martial arts is hand-to-hand combat with them, human. It's a whole different, it's beyond sport in a way. It really is. If once you actually engage in it, it's like a spiritual practice. So it's the coolest shit. I'm gonna keep doing it as long as I can. And particularly right now where my professional and personal life allow a lot of free time, I wanna go at it fucking hard. So that's what we're doing. We're doing this podcast, chilling with Jojo and M, and then eventually start studying the history of time. And then probably, hopefully, start doing some traveling around the world in 2030s. I'm thinking kind of eyeballing 2030s for to really go for it. You only got one chance here on Earth, man, and I just don't think dude, I really want to live a normal life and meet a nice pretty lady and settle down and have kids. I love that. Essentially that's the life I live now, is that I'm a dad. And I love it, actually. I like the consistency, I like the predictability it allows for. But man, I don't want to perish from this existence knowing that I chose pure comfort and predictability and the known. Settling down and having kids and a family, it's something I want to do, and hopefully I'm blessed enough to have that experience at some point in my life. But it's certainly the known. And it's not a particularly unique human experience. I do think it is probably what makes us happiest. I think for me, what will make me the happiest? At some point, it's what up, man? Go Niners, I know. Oh, today, that's right. Oh, boy. Big game there, yeah. I'm not super optimistic. Have you followed? Their bye week was last week? Their bye week was last week? They completely overhauled the linebacking core. Their center retired. Yeah, dude. So, I actually was just on a Zoom call last night with a bunch of friends from back at UGA talking about it, but yeah. I'm scared about today. It's in San Francisco too, right? Yeah, it's gonna be a tough one. But we believe in Mike. We believe in Coach Mike. See you, man. Sorry, neighbor, Niners fan. I told this guy 2 years ago when I first moved here when Mike was working for the Ravens. I would talk to this guy, neighbor on my street, about Mike. Dude, he's coming for the NFL. And then last year, I remember Ravens play the Niners and fucked them up. And I remember before the game, I saw him probably smoking weed walking off the street. I was like, oh, my boy, tonight versus your Niners. And they fucked him up. I remember telling him, like, he's getting a job. He's getting a job soon. And, yeah, anyway. Yeah, it's, I do know I want to settle down, have kids and a family more than anything. Honestly, more than anything. Like, if I had to choose, like, travel the world or settle down and have kids like a normal person, I would choose settle down and have kids like a normal person. I think having kids is probably the peak of human experience. I really do. But I also think if you have the opportunity to do something unique and cool and that you're genuinely passionate about, and like, for lack of a better term, like scratch a perpetual itch, respond to your impulses. I think that's super important. Hello, what's up? So it's about, I don't know, for me it's this constant juggling act of psychological management about, like, am I here to maximize my happiness and stability and comfort? Or are you here to, like, pursue, like, a calling or something, even if it means hardship? So, I have a discussion with myself. What's up, chicas? What happened to it? Give me cool pants. You been painting?
Yeah, I did extra painting.
Your painting pants?
Yeah.
Oh, cool box. So it's this constant question of, at least for me, like, stability over obsession. Calling. Anyway, 42 minutes, the journey's complete. You're hearing a lot more of that rambling in the weeks, months, and years to come. I love you all. My name is Alex. Youngblood, Chris Alexander, Robert Clark-Youngblood. Me dropping the Clark is nothing for marketing. It's nothing personal, Mom. My mom's so pissed that the podcast is called Alex Youngblood Podcast and not Alex Clark-Youngblood Podcast. Too many names. I have 5 names. Christopher, Alexander, Robert, Clark, Youngblood. That's too many names. I appreciate them all. I love them all. I accept them all. But as far as marketing and, like, meeting a stranger, shaking their hand, my name is Alex Youngblood. Okay? I love you. Talk to you soon.